I would now like to ask my panelists to join me on the podium, starting with Dr. Franziska Brandner, whom I don't need to introduce again, followed by Jaroslav Demchenkov. Do I see him? No, I don't see him anymore. I know that he has a meeting with Minister Habeck at around 12:20, so maybe he has already left.
I think that's my meeting, not here.
Oh, Jaroslav, good to see you. I would also like to ask Mr. Alexander Butenko, Deputy Minister for Communities, Territories and Infrastructure Development in Ukraine, Volker Oehl, Deputy General Director in charge inter alia of Eastern Europe at the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. And we will be joined with a little delay also by Dr. Tobias Lindner, who is... Oh, I haven't been, sorry. I'm really happy that you have been able to come in time, Dr. Lindner. Dr. Lindner is a Minister of State at the Federal Foreign Affairs Ministry. I would like to start with a photo, I understand. Is that correct? So could you rise again?
A little closer, please. Closer. Okay, closer. Okay, look to me, please. Thank you.
Dr. Brandner, starting with you once more. You've pointed out that Germany has been very active in giving emergency need support for Ukraine, and that the ultimate goal is the green transition. How can you, let's say, integrate green transition into emergency support? And how can we make effective use of the German experiences with renewable energies in this context?
Yeah, thank you. I think we really have to see that there are emergency needs that are just in terms of replacing and fixing and making it possible that the system continues to run. And that's the number one priority. And then we continue working on the projects we were working on before, when it comes to, for example, a transformation fund that we work on in terms of a coal region, and I think there Germany has some experience on how you can make that transformation to keep jobs, make good jobs for the future. So there we have some experience in Germany, but we can also learn from Ukraine. I think it's a mutual learning process, and where we do also fund the transition. And that is one example which we do not stop just because the war is going on, because we think, later, sooner, hopefully, Ukraine will be then part of the EU, and we will then have this common future together. And we should not say we wait with all of this until the war is over. We really want to work on this agenda already now. And we see that over the summer, the minister was speaking about the energy strategy you have set. You have really taken also decisions which we very much welcome. We also, by the way, see that you have a more decentralized now renewable scene in terms of NGOs or other actors getting active, which we have also had in Germany. So I know that there are also some here in the room, so this is also for us a very welcome move. And maybe to say that in the end, my impression is that we try really to bring all the experiences together and all the expertise. And I just would like to also thank the GITS and Dana and my ministry and all ministries working on this together to make this possible. I know that's often a delicate balance between emergency and keeping the long-term perspective, because it's easy to lose out the sight, the long-term perspective, and just work on the emergency. So really a thank you to all the teams of keeping that balance and working on it in sometimes delicate and not so easy environments.
Just to follow up, do you see a specific role for the enhanced German-Ukrainian energy partnership in this context?
Of course. Yeah, that's yes, of course. That's why we are strengthening, promoting it. Happy to have it hosting it here today. We already said, and I think that was an important signal from our ministry, that we are backing investments by German companies, also in the sector in Ukraine, in the energy sector, of course, also in other sectors. But I think that is also a commitment we bring to the table, saying, you know, we consider this as a good country to invest in. It's not just in terms of help, it's also a good investment. And I think that is also part of, we have energy dialogues with many countries, and that's, this business dimension is always part of it. And I think for us it's important to show that we have that with Ukraine at the same time as working on emergencies and making it possible for our companies to invest and making it the long-term investment strategy also for them, even though we know it's still difficult right now.
Thank you. Jaroslav, could you elaborate a bit on the key challenges, but maybe also on the key opportunities in the energy sector of Ukraine, and how is your Ministry of Energy addressing these?
Wow, so a lot of friends, a lot of partners. It's so amazing, and here people and online. I do really appreciate to be here today. Thank you for having us. It is really important to be in Berlin, to see your eyes. It is really amazing. Unfortunately, really difficult time. Energy is without doubt another front line in this war. And this winter, as Minister has mentioned, will not be easy. Unfortunately, will not be easy. We understand that the biggest challenge will be that Putin will try to use energy as a weapon. And we see this not just only in Ukraine, as you have mentioned at the welcome speech in Israel. The same terrorists use energy as a weapon. They destroyed also energy facilities like terrorist Russian country did in Ukraine and have been doing in Ukraine for more than 600 days. And yeah, we have occupied, destroyed energy facilities. The biggest in Europe nuclear power plant is still occupied, 6 gigawatt. We lost 6 gigawatt. It's a huge amount, yeah. It's amount of energy consumption of one of small European country. You know, we have also a lot of power plants, thermal power plants and CHPs, which destroyed or also occupied. We lost significant amount of generation capacity. And you know that the challenge of this winter will be to have enough capacity, generation capacity. The second, this is distribution and transmission. The readiness of our grid distribute and transmit enough electricity, power to our homes, to energy, to economy, to industries. And Putin, the previous winter, they destroyed a lot of substations, transmission substations. And thanks to the support of our partners and thanks to support of Germany, we have now enough equipment. But you know, it is quite difficult to protect these substations, huge high voltage equipment, just having physical protection. We need air defense. This is the best solution for protect energy system. Air defense, because they will continue missile attack, they will continue drone attacks, artillery attacks, and we have the same. Just a few days ago, they again hit our energy facilities. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, it's tough period of time for Ukraine. So these three challenges. The next one is to have enough equipment to replace replace damaged equipment. And such equipment, even vehicles. We discussed with Franziska just at the beginning of this session that Germany will procure vehicles for our energy companies, and this is important for Oberlenergas, for distribution companies to have needed amount of special vehicles for their crews, their energy line workers to do repair campaign as fast as possible. But this is really a huge risk because of shelling attack, artillery attack, and line workers start doing their job. Another challenges for talking about this winter, mining. We have a lot of territories which we deoccupied and a lot of territories were mined. We will need demining activities. It is not possible to start restoring, to start rebuilding without demining. It is really a big challenge for future. But you know, we have really a good understanding about our future. First of all, we will celebrate together victory and the occupation of all of our facilities. And we will start rebuild Ukraine back better, more greener, more resilient, and we will speed up green transition. For sure, we will never come back to the old generation of fossil fuels, and fossil fuels will be replaced first, of course, temporary solutions by natural gas, but for future by renewables, by biofuel, hydrogen. And it is great that here in Berlin we discussed with business how to start this type of cooperation, how to start doing business immediately after victory. And even before victory, we conduct a lot of negotiations how to develop. This is more flexible, more sustainable, more resilient energy system in Ukraine. How to build this, and Ukrainian Energy Partnership, one of the significant partner in this way, the way of green transition and green recovery. Thanks for this partnership, which we relaunched with Dr. Habeck, with one Vice Chancellor, during his visit to Ukraine, to Kiev. It is really amazing that we relaunched partnership and we have clear understanding that we have the same goals. Just transition, green recovery, more resilient energy system, and more sustainable energy system. And let's be all oriented on these very, very, I believe, tangible goals for Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Lindner, I would like to take a different perspective with you. Do you perceive a role for Ukraine? I'm afraid, no, this should be working now. Do you perceive a role for Ukraine in supporting energy security in Europe and maybe even the green energy transition in Europe? And are you making diplomatic efforts in this direction?
So for sure, that's the perspective. We have to be honest, and as Jaroslav just said, at the moment, we need to support Ukraine for the second winter at war, meaning that we see the Russian strategy in trying to attack the energy infrastructure, for sure, meaning that we have to do something we call a protective shield for the winter. That includes, for sure, air defense. In our winter package, we have decided to deploy 2 additional systems of IRIS-T and 1 additional Patriot system, and we are all aware it's not just the number of the systems itself, it's also the number of the interceptor missiles you have to produce. And we all know, we have seen the pictures, and sorry about that comparison, but we have seen the pictures from Israel, that every system of air defense can be saturated. So air defense is necessary but not sufficient, meaning that we also need to provide transformers other parts of infrastructure we need to harden and to protect the Russian targets and all those things, if we are honest. So that's the short-term challenge, meaning that we have to support your country until victory. At the same time, if we look at the energy sector, that's almost a best practice example for European integration. We all want Ukraine to be a member of the European Union at some day, and when we look at the energy system, we have seen that in the past, Ukraine has been an important transit country for gas. It will be in the future, not for Russian gas, but for other gas, for sure. But it also provided neighbors in the European Union already with electricity. And now it becomes a little bit technical. In my preparation for that panel, I've learned that Ukraine is integrated in the so-called European network of transmission systems operators for electricity, and ENTSO-E, around the start of the Russian invasion 1.5 years ago. So meaning that we are already at the technical stage in a system where the grids are synchronized, where we can exchange electricity. I think that's one milestone. As you said, we share the same goal. Whenever we can, already at the moment now, we're trying to rebuild back better. We know that on short term, I was 1 week before Christmas last year in Kiev. I've felt it with my own skin how cold it can be if Russia attacks the energy infrastructure. We know on short term, we have to repair the system to make it sustainable. But whenever we can, it's not about rebuilding the status quo ante.
In fact, I think Ukraine disconnected from the Russian grid more or less at the time of the Russian aggression, and that was a perfect timing indeed.
It was a temporary solution.
It was meant to be. Yeah, I know, but it worked. It worked. Not only Germany, but
it
also
was well-prepared solution, well-prepared. You probably, some of here from the government of Germany knows very well how we conducted a lot of negotiations. We had a lot of messages outside of Ukraine about this threat of Russian aggression, that Russia will not return Ukraine into this grid, that we will have a lot of challenges. And it was a common solution that we should conduct this disconnection, and that we should not return to the Russia and Belarus grid, and that we should develop Ukrainian grid together with ENTSO-E, with electricity transmission system operators. And these emergency solutions was conducted at the political level because of support of Germany, because of support of other partners. And now, even during war period of time, before this full-scale shelling of Ukrainian grids and generation, we had capacity export of our electricity from Ukraine, where we have war, to Europe. And I believe that we should increase as fast as possible energy corridors, interconnectors, because after victory, Ukraine will have significant capacity export of electricity, and this electricity will be sustainable. We will help European countries to do their exercise with green transition because of Ukrainian sustainable electricity. And we also, today we will discuss with Vice Chancellor Habeck options, how we will think together about export of Ukrainian low-carbon hydrogen. Low-carbon hydrogen. This is really this is possible because we have good capacity of our gas transmission system. We have gas pipeline. We can modernize gas pipeline. We can do this exercise. This is a startup. This is innovation solutions. But we have now even funds from European Council, just only 3.5 million. But this is a good beginning to just investigate these options to transport green, low-carbon hydrogen from Ukraine through Slovakia, Czech Republic to the Germany. And I know that you have really good capacity for your industries, for decarbonize your industry, but this is also a good solution for Ukrainian domestic consumption of this type of power. Hydrogen for green steel, for green chemical, for green transport vehicles. So a lot of options for decarbonizing our industries. And that's why we are thinking about circular economy. That's why we are thinking about localized production of different type of equipment in Ukraine. And German business can find a lot of options right now in Ukraine where you can start doing your business in west part of Ukraine, in Carpathia, in Lviv region. Each of these territories now try to start doing business in renewables, in wind, solar, in bioenergy, in hydrogen. So you can even during war period of time start feasibility studies, start forecast wind potential. So it's really good time for communication, business to business, government to government. And please, Francisca, we should do something with your legislation about green biomethane. Yeah, you know that we have at the first reading we adopted our law, and our business in the nearest future will have options export biomethane from Ukraine to others country. And I know that you have some sensitive issue with this in your legislation because of this solution should be conducted. And even today during meeting with business, they raised this issue that you know we would like to have your biomethane, but our government should have some solutions. Please, we will be ready for increase production of biomethane. We will open when it will be possible because of energy security issue, national security issue. When it will be possible, it will be really a good type of business, biomethane, green ammonia, hydrogen in future. So
I really appreciate that we have shifted the focus from challenges to opportunities. And actually, biomethane was a subject addressed by Prime Minister Schmihal yesterday explicitly in front of the German Federal Chancellor, so I think it's an important subject for our collaboration. It's not only Germany supporting and cooperating with Ukraine. All levels of the international community, I think, are committed to support the country. Could you elaborate a bit on the coordination and cooperation mechanisms between the different levels? Because sometimes they are kind of difficult to grasp. This is still to the German Foreign Service.
Okay. You know, I looked at the BMZ because we are closely cooperating on that also when it comes to the preparation of the recovery conference next year. But what we already did under the German G7 presidency last year, we established a coordination group, the so-called G7 Plus Ukraine Energy Sector Support. So energy within G7, but also beyond G7 is really key for us. At that group, international partners coordinate closely with Ukraine. First of all, the urgent needs like transformers, generators, and all those things. At the Ukraine Recovery Conference this year in London, this group has also decided to widen the focus and to establish a subgroup called a Clean Energy Partnership, which will focus on supporting Ukraine's own 2050 plan of reconstructing its energy system in a more sustainable manner. And within the energy community, with EU member states and neighbors, it plays an important role in facilitating fulfilling in immediate needs due to the Ukraine Energy Support Fund. So please let me emphasize all these diplomatic efforts, because groups, usually in German, it's like Arbeitskreis, you know what I mean? You just assemble a group of friends, of people, but it's not just about words, it's about deeds. So these diplomatic efforts, they are underpinned by hard numbers, meaning we tried to walk the talk. Last year, Germany was the biggest single donor for this Ukraine emergency support fund with 130 million euros. And our winter energy support accounted to roughly more than 260 million euros in total, and I can promise you it will continue as long as it takes.
Right. Thank you very much. Mr. Butenko, your ministry is in charge inter alia for infrastructure development. Which infrastructure-related projects and also investments do you envisage in the context of sustainable recovery?
Thank you very much. Let me express gratitude for organization for this event. It's very important for us to discuss very important topics for our support during full-scale Russian aggression, and we entered to second winterization period during this war, and very important for us for looking for clean and resilient solutions. First of all, taking into account the current situation, we're working for technologies to raise our resilience and provide goods, utility goods, first of all, for critical infrastructure, for sustainable our territories, municipalities, hromadas, for provide goods, electricity, water supply, district heating. And if we start now, if we start previous heating season, install generators and import generators from all over the world. I think we will generators now, one of the biggest some generators in Ukraine installed. Now we think about more resilient solution and deployed and development cogeneration. In future, I hope we will speak about three generation and cooling, a component of cooling. So we install generation for district heating companies for to provide electricity covering internal needs and covering needs for water supply, water sewage facilities. And future we speak about for more resilience and more clean energy projects, and will basing on local energy potential of our municipalities. It's very important for us for transition period and for clean and resilient energy sources. Now in this case, very good your expertise. In your energy balance, your renewable sources more than 52%, as I remember. More than, yes, more than 50%. So it's very important for us to achieve step by step this benchmark. What about critical infrastructure? It's very important for us to develop mixed and combined technology projects. We use natural gas as a transition fuel for transition period for future 20, maybe 30 years, I hope. And we should mix it with renewable sources, with photovoltaic, with solar and wind. We have great potential for biomass and develop in Ukraine. And where biggest consumption now in the not in the government quarter, but in the municipalities. And we should develop this project in complex way with energy efficiency. Our biggest consumption now in Ukraine is buildings, residential, housing, and public buildings. previous data before the war, we had consumption more than approximately 40% of energy consumption demand side on buildings. Now I think our industry and business activity seriously decreased, so consumption in buildings increased for this period. So if we speak for green transition, for resilience, for decreased energy consumption, we should realize a complex way. Thermal modernization, retrofit buildings, modernization, water supply, water sewage companies, because they consume highest energy. More than 30% in structure of tariffs, it's energy consumption. We have outdated, worn-out networks, outdated heat water pumps, the same situation with networks and district heating companies. So it's a complex issue, modernization, district heating companies, water supply companies, and buildings.
Thank you very much for this analysis, which addresses quite a number of challenges which we also face in our energy transition, in particular talking about buildings. What we have experienced in Germany is that it is extremely important to ensure the commitment of all levels of government, administrative levels, regional levels. Do you have some kind of cooperation mechanisms in place in Ukraine to ensure that there is a coordinated approach of your different administrative levels and, let's say, a coherent implementation of your policies?
Yeah. Thank you. As a ministry, we develop a legal framework for communities to help them make efficient decisions and implement best practices. As municipalities are owners, social infrastructure, school, kindergartens, hospitals, and other social infrastructure, and public buildings, and water supply and heat companies. It's one of the, I think, best reform which realized during previous 10 years. It was 8 years. It was a decentralized reform. So local authorities have all authority to make decisions, for example, for set-up tariffs, for revised tariffs, for develop investment programs and so on. For example, in Ukraine, 1,469 communities, and very different as ministry, we coordinate them to ensure equal access to resources and technologies. And we are working on introducing, developing methodologies for local energy planning, for example, for energy management, for heat supply planning documents. So we should make a framework and equal access, first of all. But from the other hand, local authorities could develop and give all opportunities to develop projects, attractive investment projects. Our task to provide investment mechanism and support this mechanism.
Thank you very much. Mr. Oehl, the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development has a long-standing cooperation with Ukraine, which predates the war. Do you see specific potentials in the framework of this cooperation for supporting a sustainable energy recovery?
Thank you very much, and let me first convey greetings from my State Secretary, Jochen Flassbart, who unfortunately cannot be here today, but he just returned from a visit to Kiev and Mykolaiv on Sunday, and so rest assured that he's very close to Ukraine, also in his capacity as a German government representative for the international coordination on reconstruction of Ukraine. And let me also stress, before I come to your question, the excellent cooperation which we have established over the last years within the German government with all ministries involved in the energy sector. in Ukraine. I'd say it's a whole of government approach, and development cooperation is part and parcel of that, and I think the energy partnership provides a very good platform for policy dialogue like this one, and I think that needs to continue, and that needs to be linked and expanded to the international level when it comes to economic or energy reconstruction and energy transition. I do think we have the instruments and fora in place, and Mr. Lindner referred to that, the G7 energy track, and also very important now, the multi-agency donor coordination platform on reconstructing Ukraine. So I think that is the format where we need to coordinate, and we need to base, I think, all international support on Ukrainian plans and ideas, and therefore it was very good to hear from the minister that he's continuing on working on long-term strategies. On where we come from in our development cooperation relations, you rightly said we have a long-term engagement on energy issues, on energy-related investments by SMEs or at the municipal level, and there were always two avenues which were important in our cooperation. The first one is promoting energy efficiency, be it within the energy grid, be it within companies, be it at municipal level, be it legislation on energy efficiency or skills building. And the second avenue has always been the linkage to the European Union. So off the grid, and we discussed that with a complicated NSOE, and also when it comes to standards and regulations. So and I'm really glad that we were able throughout the war to continue with our cooperation. Of course, we needed to adapt programs. Of course, we needed to repurpose funds, and sometimes also to the better in that we changed loans into grants. I think that also helped very much the country. Only for this year, I think our engagement in the energy sector is close to 180 million euro, and the bulk of it goes to Ukraine-Energo. And I'm really glad that KfW and Ukraine-Energo signed a contract 2 weeks ago, and that my minister Svenja Schulze this morning announced another contribution to that engagement of 45 million. Of course, given the challenges Jaroslav elaborated on, very much of that engagement was on emergency repairs, procurement of destroyed material, reconstruction of networks, and also investing in shelter of facilities to avoid future destruction. And of course, that needs to continue when we come when you look at the coming winter. And we also have to be honest that longer term infrastructure investment, in particular when you think about centralized infrastructure, that needs to wait until the attacks have to stop. But I think we have to go a step further from only doing emergency repairs. What we have learned, I think, over the last month, that decentralized solutions, mini-grid or off-grid solutions powered by renewables really gained momentum, demand and interest. And when we were at Mykolaiv on Saturday, we visited a desalination plant powered by PV and implemented by a German company from Berlin. Which is meant to maintain the whole water supply of the city of Mykolaiv. And we do see it when we look at hospitals, etc. So that is a real asset to continue on, and I think that smaller, smarter, decentralized and greener solutions will be the avenue to go forward. And last element maybe, I think we need to revert to our long-term transformation agenda, which we've pursued before the war, and Viktor Butenko referred to some of the issues which are still relevant: energy management at municipal level, thermal modernization, and so on, training, education. So that is key, and that needs to come. And I feel that the EU accession process will be a real push for reforms. And I think it's good that we link all reconstruction efforts already now to the EU acquis and also to the European agenda and the Green Deal was mentioned by Mrs. Brandner. I think that is our long-term vision, and Ukraine can substantially provide not only to energy security in Europe, but could substantially provide that Europe will become the first carbon-free continent.
Thank you very much. Do you have a special vision for green projects that can help to enhance the economic development of Ukraine? We know that after a strong downfall, the economy is slowly picking up again with growth rates of 4 to 5%, I think this next year. Which kind of green projects could support this development while at the same time contributing to the decarbonization of industry?
First of all, I think green projects are not a nice to have, but they are essential when it comes to reconstruction and longer term transformation. So I think an investment in green projects now will pay off in the long term. I would advise really to invest in that. And with green economies, we know that it comes with innovation, it comes with employment generation, and I think that offers huge potential for Ukraine. I do think there is a number of opportunities for green projects. When we look at the potential of renewables in Ukraine, we know a lot of massive financing will be needed, both from the public and the private sector. So I think financing, providing financing is key. If we really want to have that transformation to happen, I think it still needs policy reform for Ukraine to become a more attractive destination. What I also find crucial is what you said about the municipal level. So I think there is great commitment. I do foresee that in the reconstruction plans, which are already now prepared at the level of cities, the green transition will be inbuilt, and we need to look at that. And maybe also an interesting element is that we do have such a great number of partnerships between German and Ukrainian municipalities, and that partnerships have at least doubled during the war. So we stand at more than 180 million. And at that level, I think there is practical exchange between how do you best do energy transition at a local level, and to continue on that, what I think is excellent.
Thank you. For the final round, I have a difficult question which can only be answered either very shortly or for 2 hours in a row, and that would be from now to a successful green energy transition in Ukraine, which one singular specific step should be taken today, tomorrow, that is the most important to bring us on the way? Who wants to start? I have a volunteer at my right-hand side. Great, Dr. Lindner.
So I believe it's about decentralization, or let's say the option for decentralized approaches. And that's true, you elaborated on it, it's true for the municipal level, strengthening local communities, cities. The same is true for the energy supply. So it's not only about, it's about a large investment, but not only about large investments in 1 or 2, let's say, power plants. It's about a decentralized approach, because it also serves the goal of resilience in the end, and also on the short term about the resilience of the energy supply. With that, I'll stop, and I thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think a main driver for green energy, for managing demand and supply side, it will be economic mechanism. First of all, it's market-based tariffs. First of all, in municipal infrastructure, market-based tariffs for district heating, for water supply, water sewage, for other things, for waste management. So without market-based tariffs, we can't attract funding for renovation, for modernization. Now we have a problem during the law. Our parliament adopted martial law. We have a big debt crisis in district heating, in gas, before the gas supply company, before Naftogaz. It's a huge amount, huge sum now. Unfortunately, now we don't solve this issue. Amount more than approximately 5 billion euros debt in our energy market. So we should solve issues with debt and forgot about PSO, martial law, and so on. And step by step move to market-based tariffs. It's a key to our future and our perspective to modernize our system. And the same situation for the thermal modernization.
That's a very concrete and a very pertinent point. Jaroslav, do you agree, or would you like to add to this?
You know, we are talking about policy making, about business doing, about everything, but I think that we should put people at the center of our clean energy transition, and this not only involves involves people into this process, but improves people's life. And we should also understand that putting people at the top of this decision, it is also a quality of these decisions, a quality of our solutions. And you know that this war, both in Ukraine and in Israel, and these actions from terroristic countries now open a new level of dialogue, that we don't have other ways, just only green transition. Fossil fuels, and this is not a good option for our people, for their lives, for future. But for having green transition, we need more green tech, we need green startups, we need more innovations. Look, just yesterday we met with State Secretary in Chancellor's office, and discussed that this device now can do everything. 10 years ago it was impossible. And electric vehicles, we now, most of us, but I think in 5 years, most of Germans will use electric vehicles. I hope in Ukraine we also will have the same. And the cost of hydrogen, which we discussed yesterday, and the transportation of green hydrogen, low carbon hydrogen, now it's an issue. But I believe green tech will provide solution at the very short period of time, and we will have more sustainable power for our industries and for our people. Because, why? We would like to put people at the center of our agenda. And we would like return our people, return our Ukrainians from Germany, from Czech, from the US, from Canada to Ukraine, because we will have decentralized energy system, and for this purpose we will need more sustainable jobs, green jobs, and these people, our refugees, now have a good opportunity to improve their skills here outside of Ukraine, to be involved into this green tech, to get new knowledge and return to Ukraine and help Ukraine be greener. But also we need not just only innovations, we need really green finance instruments, new green finance instruments to support doing business, because a lot of green solutions, this is not bankable solutions. A lot of green projects, this is not a bankable projects. That's why we need favorable finance, such as investment grants, guarantees, performance-based incentives, and this should be real for doing business, and governments should put people at the top of the agenda. And for this purpose, we should create, I think, at the level of our energy partnership, we should create a rethink green fund. You remember we discussed this green fund. This green fund could be a good instrument to speed up this green transition, to increase the level of knowledge of our people. And even yesterday and 2 days ago, your country, Germany, invited our women, women energy. Women will be first in green transition, I believe. And that's why our energy, we have here 3 representatives from Ministry of Energy. We have here women from energy companies. And we believe that putting people first at the top of our green agenda,
Jaroslav,
and women, this is the best solution.
At least 3 points. At least three very important points to one question. People, green tech, green funds. Thank you for that.
I think that was already something like a wrap-up by Jaroslav. My point to add is really that issue of human capital. When you think about recovery and reconstruction and also long-term green transition, I think we need all hands on board. And we need the skills to deliver, and we know that Ukraine is suffering from huge numbers of internal displacement and refugees abroad. So I think preparing the ground for return and preparing the ground that each and everybody can deliver and contribute to, I think those efforts is key.
Thanks very much. Dr. Brandner?
Because much has been said on the energy side, the decentralized aspect, the tech aspect. I would like to say that what is key is the air defense, so that we need to invest less in reparation and equipment and can invest that funding into new tech. And therefore, I think we should do everything we can in order to support your air defense. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the discussion. I think it has become, some mic might still be on. I think it has become very clear that on the one hand side there is an in-depth understanding of the challenges, but also of the opportunities in Ukraine in the context both of your energy transition, but also our supply needs, also energy security needs and energy transition needs, and that you can give a very important contribution to that, for which we need to be open, and I think a little more flexible in certain respects. You addressed the matter of methane, but it has also become obvious that all of the 3 ministries represented today, and those are the most important ministries for the cooperation and support of Ukraine, are strongly committed to deepen the cooperation, to extend the support, and to give Ukraine everything it needs to defend its independence, the democracy of Europe, and also go with Europe in the direction of a green future. So thanks a lot. And this is the start of lunchtime.